Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Microsoft Reactor live stream. It's me. I'm back. I'm joined with Carlotta over in Italy. Hello, nice to have you on. How are you doing?
Hi everyone. I'm doing great. And you?
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I'm very well, thank you. And today we're going to be talking about getting practical with ML.NET. Now, this is a series. This is a three-part series that we're going to be running through December. And we're doing episode 1 today. So we are getting started with ML.NET today. So next slide, please, Carter. Cool. So as always, please do take a moment to read our code of conduct and just have a little read through the blue bullet points there. So please be aware of others, be friendly, be kind, be respectful. We're all here to learn and have a good time. So pop your good questions in the chat. We'll answer them as we go along. And yeah, please just be a lovely member of the community, as you always are. So what's next? Right, so getting connected. So it is a pretty turmoil time in the tech industry at the moment. Over the past couple of weeks, with all the layoffs and all of the sort of the firing, which isn't very nice, the tech industry can be pretty brutal. So somebody at Microsoft has put into the tech communities a lovely blog where you can explore different career paths. You can join different communities and how you get involved with them. You can get prepared by going through Microsoft Learn modules and how you can sort of upskill yourself for your next job. And of course, you can join episodes where you can help upskill and improve your LinkedIn profile to help you get that next job that you want. So that is a really, really good way to do it and a great blog. So a link for this is to go to aka.ms/get connected now. And then I'll take you to this blog in the tech communities and you can follow the links from there. So I'm just going to pop that one in the chat. So if you missed this one, then we can just have, there's your link in the chat for you now. So aka.ms/get connected now. What's up next? We have got an agenda. What's on the agenda today? Okay, so we're going to tell you a little bit about us. We're going to go through a cloud skills challenge that we have put together. We're going to look a little bit about what machine learning actually is on the face of it. And then we're going to look at what .NET is. So, you know, that big umbrella that is from Microsoft and the open source community. And then we're going to look a little bit deeper at what is ML.NET, so machine learning.NET. And then Carlotta is going to take this away with a lovely demo to show you all. So let's talk a little bit about us. Who are we? Who am I? And what do I do? Where do I come from? So my name is Liam Hampton. I'm a Microsoft Regional Cloud Advocate based out of the Microsoft Reactor here in London in the UK. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a cloud advocate? Well, I advocate for Microsoft Azure, but I help to build communities and I help other leaders build their communities as well. So I work out of the Reactor, which means that we have a lot of events coming through. I help run the events and I also run my own meetup group, Reactor London. And it is a fantastic group and we run all sorts of technical events. Some of you, if you're watching this, you may have seen this or signed up through the Reactor website that we have or on Meetup, the Reactor group rather. So that is the meetup group that I am part of and that I run. I'm an Auth0 ambassador, which means that I think about security first and foremost. I always thought that as a developer, you should always have security on your mind. It is a pretty hard topic to comprehend when you're coding, especially as an engineer. Security is not always the first thing you think about, or at least it wasn't for me. So I decided to make a proactive move and move into Auth0 ambassadorship. What else do I do? I'm also part of the Dev Network Advisory Board, which means I help shape the community in terms of hackathons and conferences and how they're judged and whatnot. So I always have that sort of say in how we scope that, which is fantastic. I'm an engineer. I write a lot of Go code and I travel the world. So there's a lot about me, but to give you a bit of background and understanding, yeah, thought I'd put that out there. So Carlotta, over to you. What about yourself? Introduce yourself for everyone.
Sure. Thanks, Liam, for the introduction, for introducing yourself. So what about myself? I'm Carlotta. I'm based in Italy, as Liam mentioned before. So I'm an academic cloud advocate. So it's similar to what Liam just explained to you, but a little bit different in terms of people I advocate for since I mainly advocate for students and educators, and I support them throughout their learning journey with Microsoft technologies, and in particular with AI and machine learning technologies. So I'm focused on this domain. And I'm also passionate about their use in education, so the use of AI and machine learning in education. I love art in all its forms. So beside work, I love music, cinema, painting. In the image at the top, I'm looking at Monet in the Orangerie Museum in Paris. And when I cannot, I also love visiting new places. When I cannot travel, I just walk around the streets of my city, which is Rome, looking for nice hidden places and spots.
Amazing. Thank you. That's really interesting. I tell you what, Rome is a perfect place for art and sort of heritage, isn't it? It's a beautiful place. Absolutely love it there. So thank you very much for introducing yourself. It's great to have you on, and I'm excited to see what we can do with this session. So yes. What's up then? Where are we going next with this? So learning goals. As always, with every single session which I try and run, whether it's with somebody or whether it's just on my own, we always have learning goals. Now, this is to give you a chance to find out exactly what it is I want you to take away from this session. And today we want you to take away how to set up your local development environment for ML.NET and have a general understanding of what ML.NET can do and how it can assist you with your machine learning models and how you want to develop on a broader scale. So that's everything we want you to take away from today. And we're going to hop straight into it, I believe. So at first, we want to talk a little bit maybe about up next, we've got a cloud skills challenge, I believe, that we want to be talking about. We do. So if you go to aka.ms/ml.net CSC, that is aka.ms/ml.net CSC, you can join our cloud skills challenge. And if you complete 3 or more modules within this skill challenge and you're in the UK, you can receive a piece of swag. And now that swag can be a water bottle, it could be a bag, it could be a jumper or a t-shirt, or a whole host of things that you can choose from. So if you jump onto that skill challenge, grab yourself some swag. We always want to give back to the community. And this is a perfect opportunity, not just for you to learn, but for you to also be incorporated into the Microsoft community as a whole. We want to bring you all together. So I'm going to drop that one in the chat and we can probably move on to the next slide, please, Carlotta.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add here that in this Cloud Skill Challenge, you will find a predefined collection with some useful doc and Microsoft Learn modules, useful for your ramp up in ML.NET. So please feel free to dip your knowledge in ML.NET ecosystem and ML.NET using this pre-configured Microsoft Learn collection we have prepared for you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. I always forget to explain what they actually are. I always go along with the assumption because I've done it so many times. I always think people know what they are. So thank you. Thank you. I completely forgot that one. All righty. So everybody can do this for free, by the way. We also want to stress that this is a completely free tutorial. But if you want to get a free Azure Cloud account, if you're a student, go to aka.ms/A4S. And if you're a professional, or basically anybody who's not a student at university or school, go to azure.microsoft.com/free, and you can get yourself a trial account with some credit and the chance to use a whole bunch of Microsoft services along with that. That's a really good way for you to get involved with Microsoft Cloud and understand what we're doing. And this will be probably needed for what we're doing throughout this series. So please do hop on and grab one of those. Now, that is also to say, if you are a student, there is a really cool thing from GitHub where you can get a GitHub developer hub or developer pack rather. And if you go to aka.ms/student dev pack with the hyphens in the middle, you can grab yourself one of those. Please do go and check that out. I'll post these links in the chat as well in a moment. And of course, if you're a professional, we're also going to be using Visual Studio. So if you're a student, you'll be getting this automatically and you'll be able to get Visual Studio. But if you're a professional, go to aka.ms/install Visual Studio, and that will allow you to download and install Visual Studio onto your local machine. And therefore, you can go ahead and also follow everything we are doing in this series together. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop those in the chat. And he says, if he had them, yes, he does. They are here. So I'll put these ones in the chat for you. So go ahead, go and check them out. And that is a really awesome way for you to upskill and get some free goodies.
Great. Thank you, Liam.
Cool. So what is this series all about? Now, this is the introduction today. This is episode number 1. We want to get you up to speed, get everybody in the same level playing field. So today, episode number 1, it is getting started with ML.NET. So how do you set up your environment? What is ML.NET? What is .NET itself? Because that's always a question that I get asked. And a whole bunch of other good things, just how you get up to speed to where we want you to be. Now, episode 2 is going to be happening on the 7th. So that is next week. And it's going to be text classification with Model Builder. So again, we're going to be taking it a step further to help you understand exactly what we're going to be doing and how to sort of work with classification models and how you build them yourself. And of course, using Visual Studio to do this. And then episode number 3, which off the top of my head, I think is like the 15th maybe, of December. We're going to be episode number 3, deploying and consuming machine learning models. So again, this is a really steep up curve in terms of learning, but it's a really fun way to get into the groove of it and understand. And by all means, for those of you who have seen me on these streams before, you'll probably know I don't really dabble with this stuff, which is exactly why I've got Carlotta with me. And this is where she's going to be teaching not just you, but she's going to be teaching me too. And hopefully I can ask her the questions that you're going to be asking as well. So I guess we can just get into it now. I think this is past the beginning. I want to get stuck in. So I guess this is over to you, Carlotta.
Yeah, sure. So we talked a little bit about us, right? Now we want to hear from you. If you are familiar with ML, if you are familiar with .NET, if you are familiar with ML.NET, but also if you know nothing about ML and about .NET, it's totally fine. We are here for that. So just vote, use this survey link, aka.ms/ml-net-survey. It's Mentimeter survey. We would like just to know a little bit more about yourself. If you are a .NET developer, so you are here because you are interested about the .NET ecosystem. If you are a data science enthusiast, so you are more interested on the machine learning side, or if you are just curious about both. And yeah, all of you are welcome, of course. So please go ahead and vote.
Awesome. Yeah, I've put that link in the chat for everybody, aka.ms/ml-net survey. Or is that an ML.net or is that ML.net? That is ML.net survey. Yep. So I've popped that one in the chat for everybody. So yeah, please do go ahead and go.
Yeah, if you feel as the character here in the image is perfectly fine. So if you are thinking, what's the hell? What's this hybrid between .NET and ML? It's totally fine. Please let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I'm going to fill this out myself as well in a minute. Oh, look, we've got somebody. Hello, CT. Hello. He says, hello from South Africa. Thank you for hosting. I'm stuck without power. So he's improvising on his phone. Thank you for watching on your phone. It's amazing to see. I'm sorry you have no power, but I'm still really happy that you've managed to join. So hopefully it will give you some goodness to help pass that time for you.
Yeah, and if you want to, vote from your phone, you can do that. So just go to menti.com and use the code you see here, and you can just vote from your phone. And we have some answers yet. Good.
Brilliant. Cool. So we've got a couple of people popping in some answers. I always like using these kind of tools because it gets around the reading the room in person. So I prefer to speak to people in a room sometimes, and it's that kind of connection. But this is one of those tools that really helps. So please do, if you get a chance, please fill this out. Help us figure out where you're up to, because it helps you help us, if that makes sense.
Exactly. So we have quite uniform responses, right? For now, we have one .NET developer, one with basic knowledge of both, 3 which do know nothing about ML and about .NET, and 2 which have basic knowledge about ML.NET, which is totally fine. So Very cool. Thank you for answering the survey.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good, actually. I'm glad that you don't know much about this, because it's an opportunity for us to all learn together. And like I said, I'm also one of these people, by the way. I know nothing about ML.NET. I'm on here for the learning journey too, as everybody can tell.
Great.
Cool. So we'll give that a few minutes, and we can let that sort of muster in the background, I think. And let's get into it, shall we? Should we learn a little bit about what .NET is? And well, what is machine learning actually is the first question. So pop in the chat if you think you know what machine learning is, because this is a really interesting one. It's absolutely everywhere. Now, I am one of these stiflers in tech. I don't own anything smart in my home because I'm too paranoid. I always think they're all listening, and you would be correct. Now, they listen for a reason, but Google Maps, Apple Maps, any of those kind of services all use machine learning. You've got Netflix. So without sort of thinking about it, your top priorities or your top picks are going to be completely different to mine in terms of what we watch, because it's done via machine learning models to help predict what we want to watch next. And of course, we have an Amazon Echo Dot on there because they're all famous for listening to people. So is Siri, so is Google. So all of these home assistants, they're all they all use machine learning under the hood to help predict and help give you the answers that you want. I remember back in, I don't know when it was, but it was a few years ago actually, when Siri came out, and it was pretty scary. Everyone was asking it, hey, tell me a joke about this and tell me that. And, some things got cancelled on it because of some of the awful answers that it gave. But it's all part of that learning and kind of where it all came from. So Carlotta, tell me a little bit more. What is machine learning? Where does it come from, and why do we use it?
Yeah, sure. We know that machine learning is everywhere, right? And we know that it's a very huge topic. So let's do a step back to give a definition of machine learning. So I would like to start with probably one of the most popular definition for machine learning. And some of you, which are data scientists or data science enthusiasts here, I'm sure you already have heard that. So machine learning is the field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without explicitly being programmed. Which could be a tricky one. Another popular one, which maybe it's more attractive, defines machine learning as the capability of a machine to imitate intelligent human behavior. That to have better understanding of what those definitions tell us, let's think about how a machine, which is traditionally, which means explicitly programmed, works. So traditionally, what we provide in input to a machine is some data, right? And an algorithm, a program to execute. So the machine reads the data, applies the algorithm to those data, and generates an output that will be always the same for the same input. That means we provide the machine with detailed and complete step-by-step instruction, like, for example, if we have a recipe for a cake to give to a kitchen robot. With machine learning instead, what we provide in input to the machine is the data again, which now assume also a greater importance, since for bad data, we will get always bad models. But this time we are going to use, we are going to give to the machine the data together with the final output, because what we want to get from the machine this time is the program itself. So in simpler terms, instead of providing detailed instructions to cook our cake, we provide positive and negative examples of doing it, and we highlight where the machine is deviating from the examples in a way that it can learn from its mistake by minimizing the gap between the attempt and the given example, which is very much closer to what a human teacher would do with a human student, right? Giving them examples and giving them, making it into practice to make them learn something. But why in machine learning we expect the machine to learn from the data and the output, of course, and why we expect the machine to give us the program, which is commonly referred as the model more than the program. Because ideally, what we wish is to reapply this program or model to new and unforeseen data and get at this point the unknown output. So this is like a nice slope between machine learning and traditional programming. And actually what we will do in this series will be exactly this loop, because we're going to build a machine learning model and then consume the machine learning model in a web application. So you will exactly see this loop here. Great. So now that we have introduced machine learning, I hope I was able to give you a general understanding of this definition. Let's see the other part of the other part of the side, right? So what's .NET? Liam, I leave you cover that.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a really cool overview of machine learning. And of course, we're going to get deeper into this. Like, it's really quite interesting to see how all these different data points can come into one place and give you sort of certain answers in different ways, and sort of predictabilities. And it's all about statistics, really. It's like a numbers game is what I see it as. That's why I don't sort of play with it too much, because, you know, I never went down that route. But the other side of this is .NET. Now, a lot of people might think that Python is maybe the go-to or the only language you can use when it comes to data science, machine learning models, or AI. But .NET also has a huge step and foot in the game. So what is .NET? Well, .NET is an open source developer platform, and that allows you to create so many different applications for so many different sort of platforms. So to give you an example, C#, so .NET, under the umbrella of .NET, you have C#, you've got F#, and Visual Basic, which are all programming languages. Now, I started off with Visual Basic at school. What did you start with, Carlotta?
I started with C#. I'm curious.
Cool.
I'm curious. Our attendees here, which languages started with?
Yeah, it's always a fun one. There's always this whole mixed bag of languages that everybody starts with, right? So what happens with .NET? So it was created by Microsoft. I think everybody knows, or I can assume that everybody kind of knows the roots of .NET. Now, it is open source, which means everybody outside of Microsoft can also join in and help make that better. Now, there's a huge marketplace of plugins and add-ons, and it's most commonly used within Visual Studio, which is why, of course, we want you to download and install that one. But there's 60,000 or over 60,000 developers. Now, I believe that a whole bunch of things have come out recently, which I'm sure, Carlotta, you can tell us a lot more about. But it's a lot more to it. You can create mobile applications, you can create desktop applications, you can make games, IoT. There's so many things that you can make under the .NET umbrella, and machine learning models is one of them, which is fantastic, right? So if you think about games, there's machine learning models and neural networks and everything behind everything that goes on in games. So it's not just a hard-coded program which you're always going to be fighting against the same bunch of variables every time you want to race a ghost car on a game or something. There's a lot more that goes into it with your skill, how fast you're going, where you're turning, where you're likely to go next. So this is where it comes into a game of its own. Because you can hit so many different platforms, it makes it the ideal umbrella for you to be developing with. Now, I've personally, as anybody on the stream who's watching may know, I don't write C#, F#, or Visual Basic, but I have done Visual Basic, and I do write Go code, and I have done a bit of Java and JavaScript. And there's a lot of syntactical similarities between the two, which makes an ideal language for people, or an ideal ecosystem for people to get involved in, especially if you want to be playing with what we're going to be doing through this series. So take a look at this one. I'm going to put a link into the chat, and I'm going to let you read through maybe a Microsoft sort of blog on it, and you can just go check out what is .NET. That's all you have to do, and helps you understand exactly what's going on under the hood. And the best thing is cross-platform, and it's just one consistent API. So I'll let you take that one away. Hopefully I did that one justice. It's a great ecosystem to learn about.
Definitely. Thank you, Liam. Cool. So I think we have all the pieces, right, to come to the definition of ML.NET. So This is the actual character of this session and of the whole series. So let's go ahead. So ML.NET is a machine learning framework which belongs to the .NET ecosystem Liam just introduced. And it's designed to empower .NET developers with the ability of adding machine learning to .NET applications using languages they are familiar with, so C# or F#. So ML.NET offers the possibility to build a machine learning model which is fine-tuned and customized for a specific scenario and a specific data set, and also to consume it in a .NET application with different approaches, using a zero-code experience, which is the one we are going to see in this series, with the model builder functionality, using a low-code experience with a CLI, an ML.NET CLI, but also there's an heavy code approach with ML.NET APIs and the so-called polyglot notebooks, which are notebooks in which you can use a .NET kernel, and you can write code in the notebook in C# and F# again. And it's called polyglot because you can actually use both languages together with other languages like SQL in the same notebook, which is very cool. And ML.NET also allows to import pre-trained models, like if you want to import a TensorFlow model or an ONNX model in your ML.NET solution, you can do that and unlock further machine learning scenarios. And in the context of making machine learning available to everyone, so we are talking about ML.NET because it is able to democratize machine learning, which do not become anymore like an art for an elite of statisticians, but it's something that every developers, in particular if they are familiar with C# or F#, can just consume and integrate in the solution. So in this context, another amazing tool provided within this framework is AutoML. AutoML is a technology that automates the process of building best performing models for a certain machine learning scenario by experimenting with different pre-processing operations, different machine learning algorithms, and also hyperparameter tweaking. So it automates all that operations which are very time consuming for data scientists, because of course if you need to manually train different kind of algorithms and combine different kind of hyperparameters, this is all of this is time consuming, and it requires also a certain knowledge, a certain data science knowledge. So AutoML is a very useful tool, which provide as output the best combination of all machine learning algorithms, pre-processing operation, and hyperparameters according to a specific evaluation metric that you can customize and define. But why we're talking about ML.NET? I mean, there's tons of frameworks over there for machine learning, right? And in this deck, there are only a few of them. We have tidy models and tidebits for R. We have PyTorch and scikit-learn for Python. So why we're talking about ML.NET and why and how it differs from those frameworks and also other frameworks over there. First of all, I would say that it's because it's not built for data scientists only. People with different level of machine learning understanding can empower their .NET solutions with some kind of AI by choosing the tools and the approach most suitable for them. And this is immediately clear when we think about the languages used for machine learning models development in this framework, which are C# and F#, as we said, which are the standard languages for .NET ecosystem, but not the languages traditionally used for data science and modeling, which are more R or Python. Another characteristic of this framework, which makes explicit the choice of democratized machine learning art, is the availability of a graphical user interface as a Visual Studio extension to build and deploy machine learning models in few clicks. Also, the mission of this framework is to make machine learning consumable by providing tools, APIs, libraries to automate not only the machine learning model training, but also some of the classical MLOps activities, which in some industry are executed by a completely different team with respect to the team of data scientists. And these MLOps activities, which ML.NET automize, are, for example, model maintenance, so the retraining of the model, the integration of the model into a client application, like a web application. So these are really the different point of ML.NET framework with respect to other framework, other machine learning framework available for R or for Python. Great. So talking about ML.NET, one very nice functionality that we will be using in this series for our mini project is Model Builder. So we have mentioned before that there are a few different approaches for doing machine learning in this framework with different level of machine learning knowledge required. So we'll be using Model Builder as starting point because it's the most approachable one. Basically, Model Builder provides a graphical user interface available in Visual Studio and provides a guided step-by-step procedure to import data, train and evaluate custom machine learning models for the scenario that best suits your application needs. So all you need is some data and a problem to solve. And Model Builder generates the code to add to the model to your .NET application. In your turn, if you wish, you can customize the auto-generated code as output of the Model Builder to improve model performance, or, for example, modify how the application user is going to interact with the model. And you will see all of these in the next 2 episodes. But before going into a short demo of the prerequisites we need to start developing code in ML.NET, let's just touch briefly what's ML.NET 2.0. So ML.NET 2.0 is just the latest version of ML.NET framework, which has been announced a few days ago on 10th of November at .NET Conf. The latest updates announced are the text classification scenario in Model Builder. So text classification, again, we will see it in more details in the next episode, but it's a machine learning scenario in which you can categorize a text. For example, if you want to categorize a text with a sentiment, positive or negative, you can use text classification. So this is available now in Model Builder. Another cool new update is the sentence similarity API. So the sentence similarity API uses the same underlying model as text classification API, but instead of predicting a category given a text as input, the model calculates a numerical value that represents how much 2 sentences are similar between them. Text classification and sentence similarity are actually enabled by tokenizer support because tokenization is a data process technique which enables natural language processing scenarios like sentence similarity of text classification. And other updates, other improvements are related in ML.NET 2.0 are related to AutoML and Model Builder, like some customization which are empowered in the space of choice for trainers and hyperparameters, and advanced training options for Model Builder. So I just wanted to let you know that this is an evolving service, and the latest version has been announced just a few days ago.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see this because it just shows that there's good investment. And I was doing some research before we were doing this session, and the kind of improvements that they're making with sort of these kind of packages and or these libraries, should we say, that are coming along with it. It's really, really good to see the investment because it goes to show that it's being sort of put forward at the forefront of this industry. And it's certainly there to help rival, or maybe not rival is the right word, but assist all these other different packages and sort of options everybody has. And it's kind of cool that you mentioned ML.NET because we also, I think it was on the 8th of November, maybe a little bit sooner, .NET 7 was released, wasn't it? So there was like a whole bunch of improvements with .NET 7. And for those of you who don't know what .NET 7 is, it's obviously the next iteration from .NET, but there was a big release around that. And the terms of improvement. And I don't know whether you know much about that, Carlos. I'm not going to put you on the spot on live stream, but yeah, there's certainly some good things that came out when I was sort of sat in a conference talk the other week. So that's something to do a bit of reading around as well if you're interested in the next iteration of where we're going with .NET. But hey, I think it's demo time. Is this the next one's a demo, right?
Yeah, right. It's demo
Amazing.
time. Yeah, so the goal at the end of this ML.NET journey is for you to have a project in which you will have trained a text classification model with Model Builder, and you'll have also integrated this model into a web application, consuming it using textual user inputs. So for today, we will do the basic stuff. So we will set up our local environment for being ready to start working with ML.NET and create an ML.NET project. So in this demo, what I will show you is how to install Visual Studio 2022, which is one of the most common IDE for .NET developers, how to install the Model Builder extension for Visual Studio, and also how to create a console application, so an application which has a console to interact with the user in Visual Studio, and how to add a machine learning configuration to this console application. So let me go to my browser first. Here we are. So first thing first, to download the Visual Studio installer, we need to navigate to visualstudio.microsoft.com. And we have different Visual Studio version here. But for the purpose of our project, we can choose the community option here and just starting downloading it. Not that this option I've chosen is available for Windows OS only. So if you have Mac OS, you should go for the Mac specific version, taking into account that the Model Builder functionality we will be using in this project is not yet available on Mac OS. So you can maybe choose to rely on a virtual machine, on a Windows virtual machine, for example. Anyway, once you download the Visual Studio installer, we can just click on it and launch the installer. Yes. Just wait a few seconds. Sorry, I have it on the other monitor, but it's progressing. So in my case, I already have Visual Studio installed on my machine, so it will be a little bit different with respect to what you will see, but I will explain what it will be different. It's very easy because it's a guided procedure as for all IDE installation. Here we are. So as I said, I already have Visual Studio installed. That's why I have it here in this installed tab. You will have the Visual Studio community version here in the list of the available software. And instead of having the modify button, you will see, of course, the install button. But once you click on install, what you will see is something similar to what I will get now. So I will be able to show you what you need to, how do you need to configure your setup and installation. Here you can choose the workloads to install, and to work with ML.NET, we need the .NET Desktop Development the .NET Desktop development workload, so the one you see checked here. And then in the .NET Desktop development list, you need to check that you have the ML.NET Model Builder selected, because of course we are going to use Model Builder in our project. Great, then you can just click on install while downloading, and it's done. Just wait a few minutes for the installation, the downloading and installation to complete. So as I said, I already have Visual Studio on my machine, so I will just directly open Visual Studio. Let me close the installer. Please, Liam, if we have any questions from the chat, feel free to interrupt me.
Oh, don't worry, I will, don't worry. When it opens up, do you mind?
Great.
Do you can zoom in a little bit?
I don't do in this page, but I will. I'm going to jump in a new page soon. So the main thing here is that we are going to click on the open a project or solution to create a new project, because this is the very first page you see when you open Visual Studio. And here you have a bunch of options like clone a repository, open a local folder, open a project or solution. But what we want to do here is create a new project. So you are going to choose the latest option here, create a new project. And I'm going to choose a console app, because actually, as I told you, like machine learning in the ML.NET framework philosophy is more thought as, let's say, a feature of our apps. So we are going to integrate machine learning and add machine learning, so add some sort of intelligence to our app. So we firstly need our app, and then we are going to add a machine learning configuration for our app. So that's why we first create an application. We could create any type of .NET application. I'm going to choose console app, which is the one of the basic one. So we're going to click on console app and then on next. I will just leave the default name here. Here you can just rename the project with the name you wish, but I will leave the default. Another thing I would like you to check is that you have, as framework, you have the .NET 6 framework here, which is the latest one with the long-term support. As Liam said, .NET 7 has been just released. So .NET 6 at this point is the one with the long-term support. And then you can just click on create. And in a few seconds, the project will be, the new project will be created and launched. Let's wait for it. Great. So what we can see here, here we can see a template of a console app. And the main thing is that we have a C#, a CS file with just a command of hello world. We are not very interested in it for the moment, because what we want to do right now is adding our machine learning configuration to these projects. So what we're going to do here is open the model builder functionality. And to do that, you need to click, right-click on the project first, and then click on add, and then click on machine learning model. Once you do that, you can see here that you are creating a new file, which is of extension mbconfig, which stands for model builder configuration. And if we click on add, the model builder page will show up to us. So this is the model builder page, and this is the UI I was referring to, in which you can customize the machine learning configuration for your project. And let's have a first look to all the guided steps we can do with Model Builder. And you can see them here in the left side of the page. So the first step is the scenario. The scenario is actually the problem we want to solve with machine learning. The second step is the environment. So we can choose the compute resource we wish to use for training our model. And for some scenarios, you can choose between a local environment and a cloud environment. So you can train the model on Azure. For others, you have only the local option. But you can choose between CPU or GPU to speed up the training for more complex model, for example. But in this case, you should have, of course, an NVIDIA GPU available on your local machine. So you set up the scenario, set up the environment. The third thing is data. So data is I would say the most important part of your machine learning project. If you have bad data, you will have bad models for sure. And in this guided step, you're going to upload your dataset, the dataset you'll be using to train the model. And then the following step are train, evaluate, and consume the model. So you train the model on the dataset you uploaded. You then evaluate it using some evaluation metrics available in Model Builder. And finally, you consume the model to check that it is answering with the label you expect. That could be a category if it's a classification type of scenario, or could be a value if it's a regression type of scenario. And finally, you can also save this model to consume it in a different application. But we will see all these steps, and we will do all these steps in our project, starting from the next episode. For now, let's just have a look at the possible scenarios Model Builder offer. So this page is composed by three sections, actually. And the first section is the section related to classical machine learning type of problems. So we have data classification, we have regression, which is the prediction of a numerical value. We have the recommendation, similar to what Netflix does when recommend the next TV series you should watch, and forecasting for prediction of future values. And then we have two deep learning scenarios, so more complex scenarios, one for computer vision and one for natural language processing. Computer vision is all about classifying an image or detecting object in an image, while natural language processing is more about the machine which learn to extract pattern from text. And this is the scenario we are going to use starting from next time, because we are going to build with Model Builder a text classification model to categorize text with binary target. So yeah, for today, I just wanted to show you how easy it is to set up your local environment and start working with ML.NET. All that you need actually is Visual Studio, and then you have seen that how easy it is to just configure the Visual Studio installation to check that you have the Model Builder. So that's it for my demo. I will jump back to the deck.
Thank you, Carlotta. Thank you. That was really good. I mean, it's quicker, way quicker than I ever thought it would be to install Visual Studio or get set up with those kind of scenarios. And I think it gives you that, that sort of carousel looking quick start guides and tutorials is also really, really useful. Now, I mentioned you said that you can't use it, or Model Builder can't be used on Mac OS. Now, I actually have a Mac, and I've been able to get around this in a couple of ways. So for those of you who do have a Mac and would like to try this, you can either do a dual boot on your Mac. So I think it's used Boot Camp. I've used that previously. You can use a virtual machine on your Mac. So if you're using Parallels or VirtualBox, if you're using an M1 Mac, I don't think VirtualBox works yet. So you have to get Parallels. And the third option is using DevBox on Microsoft Azure. So that's basically a virtual machine in the cloud, which you can use. It's like fully spec'd out. You can do it yourself. Again, if you sign up for a free trial, you actually get enough credits to play with this and do it. So give that a go if you have a Mac, because this is going to be a really, really fun way and a really, really good, interesting way to start getting involved with ML or machine learning models. So yeah, sorry, carry on, Carter. Go for it.
Thank you for these useful tips. I'm like a Windows user, so thank you very much for for your perspective as a macOS user. Very useful. Thank you. Great, and I think that we can actually wrap up our session today. With a few call to action. If you want to learn more, you can join the challenge, join the Cloud Skill Challenge. We have mentioned it at the beginning. So again, you have here a Microsoft Learn collection pre-configured for your learning journey with ML.NET. So you can learn with your own pace about .NET ecosystem, about ML, and about ML.NET, and Model Builder as well, of course. And you can get the tools you need. If you are a student, I encourage you to directly apply for the Student Dev Pack, GitHub Student Dev Pack program, just because in one click you can get all the tools you need, not only for this project and this demo, but also for every demo you wish to do with machine learning, with .NET, etc. If you are not a student, don't worry. For this project, you just need Visual Studio, and I just show you how you can install it. So it's definitely fine. You can do either way.
Brilliant. And I think we've got two other things of what's coming up next. So on the 7th of December, so next week at 4:30 p.m. GMT. Sorry, I forgot to put the GMT there on the slides. So we got the text classification with Model Builder. So we're going to be doing the next step. So Carlotta's going to show us how you can actually use Model Builder and get started with your own application, which is going to be really good. So I will just pop that in the chat for everybody as well, so you can see that one. So that should be on both YouTube and on LinkedIn if you're watching on either of those platforms. You'll get the comment through now. And on the same day, so I think on the next slide, we actually have an in-person meetup. And that's happening in the Microsoft Reactor in London and online on hybrid. So unfortunately, if you can't make it in person, if you're not in London or not in the UK, you can still join online through YouTube, through our YouTube channel, or sign up through our meetup pages. And you will be able to get access to some pretty cool tech content, as always, with the meetup group itself. But that's happening, so please do come on down, say hello to myself. Unfortunately, I don't think Carlotta is going to be there, being in Italy, but we'll have her in spirit. But that's going to be happening straight after our stream. So please do come on down or join online. It'd be great to see you face to face. So again, I'm going to pop that into the chat as well on both LinkedIn and on YouTube.
Lots of great stuff happening in Reactor next week.
100%. It's the wind down to Christmas now, so there's little going on. So we're making the most of the time we have left before the holidays, which is good.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think with that, we can wrap up and say a massive thank you to Carlotta for helping to put this together. This is certainly a topic which I'm not an expert in, but she certainly is. So if you'd like to contact us or connect with us or ask us any questions outside of these streams, please do. Over here. So our tags or LinkedIn tags are either on the screen or on our video sort of cards. So please do follow us, ask us questions, and we'll be happy to answer. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Definitely. Please reach out with any question you have, also offline. Just ping us using our social contacts here.
Awesome. Well, I think with that, we can now wrap up the stream, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Liam, for having me here today. And thank you, everyone, for being here today.
It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.